Racist police seize a black boy's bicycle. In a bustling urban neighborhood filled with vibrant murals and the sounds of children playing, 12-year-old Jamal Thompson rode his bicycle with uncontainable joy. The sun shone brightly on this Saturday afternoon, casting a warm glow over Maplewood Park, where families gathered for picnics and laughter echoed through the air. Jamal was known for his infectious smile and boundless energy. He was a kid who loved life and embraced every moment. Jamal had saved for months to buy his bike, a sleek blue mountain bike with shiny silver rims that glinted in the sunlight. It was more than just a mode of transportation for him. It represented freedom, adventure, and hard work. Every time he pedaled through the neighborhood, he felt like he was flying, leaving behind any worries or troubles. As he rode through the park that day, Jamal waved to friends and neighbors. He loved how the community came alive on weekends, with kids playing soccer, families grilling in the picnic area, and laughter filling the air. He decided to take a break from riding and joined a group of friends who were playing basketball at one of the nearby courts. The incident. After an hour of shooting hoops and enjoying friendly competition, Jamal felt a surge of excitement as he hopped back on his bike. He decided to ride around the park one last time before heading home. As he pedaled along the path lined with trees, he felt invincible. However, as he approached the park's entrance, he noticed two police officers standing by their cruiser. Officer Reynolds and Officer Smith were known in the neighborhood. While some residents appreciated their presence, others felt uneasy around them due to past encounters that had left a sour taste in their mouths. Jamal slowed down as he passed them, instinctively gripping his handlebars tighter. He had heard stories from older kids about how some officers treated young black boys unfairly. Still, he tried to shake off any apprehension. After all, he hadn't done anything wrong. "Hey, you there!" Officer Reynolds called out sharply. Jamal's heart raced as he turned to face them. "Me?" he asked hesitantly. "Yeah, you. Stop right there," Officer Reynolds ordered. Jamal dismounted his bike slowly, confusion washing over him. "Is something wrong?" he asked innocently. Confrontation Officer Smith stepped forward with an authoritative stance. "We need to check your bike," he said firmly. "It looks suspicious." "Suspicious? What do you mean?" Jamal replied, bewildered. "It's mine. I saved up for it." Officer Reynolds narrowed his eyes as if assessing Jamal's worthiness to own such a bike. "We've had reports of stolen bicycles in this area," he said dismissively. "We need to make sure it's not one of them." Jamal felt a wave of frustration wash over him. "I promise you it's mine. I can show you my receipt." He reached into his pocket to pull out the crumpled paper that proved ownership, but felt a knot tightening in his stomach as Officer Reynolds stepped closer. "Let me see that," Officer Reynolds demanded, snatching the receipt from Jamal's hand, without so much as a thank you. As Officer Reynolds scanned the receipt, Jamal could feel his heart pounding in his chest. The other parkgoers began to notice what was happening. Whispers spread through the crowd as people watched this interaction unfold with growing concern. The community reacts. A few friends of Jamal's who had been playing basketball nearby approached cautiously. "What's going on?" one asked nervously. "Nothing," Officer Smith replied curtly, dismissing them with a wave of his hand. But Jamal could see their worried expressions. They knew something wasn't right. He felt embarrassed standing there under scrutiny while everyone watched. His friend's eyes filled with concern made him feel even smaller. "Can't you just let him go?" one friend pleaded. "He hasn't done anything wrong." Officer Reynolds looked up from the receipt with an expression that mixed annoyance and disdain. "You kids need to learn some respect for authority," he said coldly, before turning back to Jamal. "This bike is going to be seized until we can verify its ownership." "What? No!" Jamal protested desperately. "You can't take my bike. It's mine." The seizure. Ignoring his pleas, Officer Reynolds reached down and grabbed hold of the handlebars, while Officer Smith stood by with arms crossed, an intimidating figure looming over Jamal as if trying to assert dominance in this situation. With a swift motion, they lifted Jamal's beloved bicycle away from him, a symbol of freedom, now transformed into an object of suspicion and control. Jamal felt tears prickling at the corners of his eyes but fought them back fiercely. He refused to let them see how much this hurt him. He watched helplessly as they secured his bike onto their cruiser with a lock, a painful reminder that sometimes innocence wasn't enough to protect him from prejudice. "This is ridiculous!" one of his friends shouted angrily at the officers as they walked away with Jamal's bike. "You can't just take it like that." Officer Reynolds shot back an icy glare, but said nothing further. His silence spoke volumes about how little he cared for their feelings or concerns. A moment of despair. As Jamal stood there, feeling defeated, his friends rallied around him, offering words of support but unable to change what had just happened. He couldn't shake off feelings of humiliation, anger bubbling beneath surface threatening overflow at any moment. "Let's go talk to someone," one friend suggested urgently after seeing how upset Jamal was becoming. "No," Jamal replied quietly, shaking head, slowly trying regain composure despite overwhelming emotions swirling within him still. It wouldn't help anything right now. They needed evidence, prove ownership first before approaching anyone else. Instead, they decided head home together. Riding alongside each other offered comfort, knowing they weren't alone facing this injustice together. Reflection on identity. As they rode in silence, the weight of what had just occurred settled heavily upon Jamal's shoulders. Thoughts raced through mind, questioning everything about himself, identity shaped by experiences like these. Would this always be how people saw him? Just another kid who didn't belong? Reaching home, he parked his bike outside, feeling lost without it already. How could something so simple bring such joy, yet also serve reminder harsh realities faced daily? His mother noticed something was off immediately when she saw him enter house looking dejected. She rushed over, wrapping arms around him tightly, asking what happened, while gently coaxing details out, slowly revealing everything unfolded earlier. Parked today. Listening intently. Her expression shifted from concern, disbelief, anger at treatment her son received simply because skin color alone. "I'm so sorry this happened," she said softly, brushing hair back, comforting gesture, reminding him love support always available no matter what challenges lay ahead. Strengthening resolve. That night, Jamal lay awake staring at ceiling, wondering how things could have been different if only people were willing. Listen, understand rather than judge based appearances alone. He thought about all those moments spent riding freely, feeling wind against face, the sense adventure waiting around every corner, and realized deep down inside something needed change, not just within himself, but also society itself. With determination fueling spirit anew, he made silent promise never let anyone take away joy found within biking again. Instead, use experience, motivate, fight against injustices faced by others too. As sleep finally overtook him, dreams filled with images, freedom, hope shining brightly just beyond horizon, ready explore, discover together. The aftermath of the incident. The next morning, Jamal woke up with a heavy heart. The sun streamed through his window, but instead of feeling its warmth, he felt cold and defeated. He had spent the night tossing and turning, replaying the events from the park over and over in his mind. The image of Officer Reynolds taking his bike lingered like a shadow, reminding him of how powerless he felt in that moment. As he got ready for school, Jamal tried to push those thoughts aside. He knew he had to focus on his studies and not let this incident define him. But as he walked to school, he couldn't shake off the feeling of injustice that clung to him. It wasn't just about the bike. It was about respect, dignity, and being treated fairly. When he arrived at school, Jamal was greeted by his friends who had witnessed the incident. They were gathered near the entrance, their faces filled with concern. "Hey, Jamal, are you okay?" one friend asked. "Yeah, man. We heard what happened. Another chimed in. That was so unfair. Jamal nodded, but didn't say much. He appreciated their support, but felt a mix of embarrassment and anger bubbling inside him. I'm fine, he replied dismissively, trying to brush it off. Rallying support. As the day went on, Jamal found it hard to concentrate in class. His mind kept drifting back to his bike, the freedom it represented and how quickly it had been taken away from him. During lunch, he sat with his friends at their usual table, but the conversation felt different today. There was an underlying tension as they discussed what had happened. We should do something about this, one friend suggested. Maybe we can talk to our parents or even go to a community meeting. That's a good idea, another agreed. We can't just let them get away with treating you like that. Jamal listened intently as they brainstormed ideas. The thought of speaking up made him nervous. What if they didn't believe him? What if nothing changed? But deep down he knew that staying silent wouldn't help anyone. Okay, Jamal said finally, feeling a flicker of determination ignite within him. Let's talk to Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson was their history teacher, a respected figure in the school who often encouraged students to stand up for what was right. If anyone could help them navigate this situation, it would be him. Meeting with Mr. Thompson. After school, Jamal and his friends approached Mr. Thompson's classroom. They knocked on the door and entered hesitantly. Mr. Thompson, Jamal began nervously. Can we talk to you about something important? Of course, come in, Mr. Thompson replied warmly, gesturing for them to take a seat. Once they were settled, Jamal recounted the events from the park, the seizure of his bike, and how it made him feel marginalized and disrespected by Officer Reynolds. I don't think it's fair, Jamal concluded, looking directly at Mr. Thompson for support. I want to do something about it. Mr. Thompson listened intently throughout Jamal's story, nodding thoughtfully as he processed everything being said. I'm proud of you for speaking up, Mr. Thompson said after a moment of silence. It takes courage to address these issues head-on. But what can we do? One of Jamal's friends asked anxiously. There are several options, Mr. Thompson replied thoughtfully. You could organize a meeting with your parents and community leaders to discuss your experiences and raise awareness about how young people are treated by law enforcement. Planning for change. Inspired by Mr. Thompson's encouragement, Jamal and his friends began planning their next steps immediately after leaving his classroom. They decided to hold a community meeting at Maplewood Park where residents could come together to discuss their experiences with police interactions and advocate for change. Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly, creating flyers to distribute around school and posting on social media platforms, inviting everyone in their neighborhood to attend. As excitement built around their initiative, Jamal felt a sense of purpose returning. This was more than just about reclaiming his bike. It was about standing up against injustice faced by many others in their community. The day of the meeting. The day of the meeting arrived with a sense of anticipation hanging in the air at Maplewood Park. Families gathered under large oak trees while children played nearby, laughter mingling with serious conversations taking place among adults who had come together, united purpose. Jamal stood nervously at the front alongside his friends as they prepared to speak. He could see familiar faces from school mixed with older residents who had lived in the neighborhood for years, all eager to hear what they had planned to share. As more people arrived, the crowd grew larger than expected. Feeling overwhelmed yet empowered, Jamal took a deep breath before stepping forward, addressing everyone gathered around them. Thank you all for coming today, he began confidently, despite initial nerves creeping back into voice, slightly trembling still. We're here because we believe everyone deserves respect, regardless background or circumstances faced daily life. Sharing experiences. As Jamal spoke passionately about his experience, the crowd listened intently, one by one. Others began sharing their own stories. Some filled with frustration, while others spoke about positive interactions they'd had with police officers who genuinely cared about community well-being. A woman named Mrs. Johnson, a longtime resident, stood up next, sharing how her son had been stopped multiple times simply walking home after school. She expressed concern over how young black boys were often viewed suspiciously, without reason given. Another man shared how he'd witnessed an officer treating teenagers unfairly during a routine stop. "It doesn't matter if they're doing nothing wrong, they're still seen as threats," he exclaimed passionately, drawing nods agreement from audience around him. With each story shared, the atmosphere shifted gradually toward solidarity, understanding among those present. It became clear that this wasn't just about one incident. It was part of larger issue affecting entire community, needing addressed collectively. A call for action. After several heartfelt testimonies, Jamal stepped forward again, feeling emboldened by support surrounding him now. "We need change. We can't allow these injustices continue happening without taking action." He proposed forming a committee dedicated advocating for better relationships between police officers, residents, organizing workshops focusing on conflict resolution, educating both sides, understanding perspectives involved. The crowd erupted into applause at this suggestion. People began discussing ways to contribute time resources toward making these ideas reality, excitement buzzing through air as plans started forming right before their eyes. The unexpected visitor. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of park. Officer Reynolds stood watching quietly, observing everything unfolding before him. Tension filled atmosphere instantly as everyone turned toward him. Some faces filled with apprehension, while others showed determination. Ready confront authority figure responsible recent events. Feeling emboldened by collective strength surrounding him, Jamal decided, take initiative once more, stepping forward toward officer confidently. Despite previous encounters, filled uncertainty, fear lingering within heart, still. "What do you want?" Officer Reynolds asked curtly, crossing arms defensively as he approached, slowly looking uncertain himself now facing. Crowd gathered around them all, watching closely, waiting to see how situation would unfold next. "We want to talk," Jamal replied firmly, meeting officer's gaze unflinchingly, determined not back down this time. "We're here because we believe in change. We want better understanding between police officers' communities." A moment of confrontation. The crowd murmured softly as Officer Reynolds stood there processing what was being said. There was an awkward silence, hanging in air, thickening tension palpable between young boys standing boldly before him, demanding respect, dignity deserved, while also representing voices many others felt unheard, overlooked. Too long. "I don't have time for this," Officer Reynolds finally replied dismissively. But there was something different about tone now, a hint vulnerability peeking through facade authority, held tightly onto previously. "We're not trying to make trouble," Jamal continued, bravely pushing forward despite feeling nervousness creeping back into voice slightly again. "We just want our voices heard. We want you to understand us better, so things can improve." In that moment, a shift occurred within Officer Reynolds' expression, perhaps realization dawning upon him that these weren't just kids causing trouble. They were young people seeking justice, wanting to ensure future brighter, safer. Everyone involved moving forward together, hand in hand. A turning point. "What do you suggest?" Officer Reynolds asked cautiously, surprising everyone present, including himself perhaps too. Jamal felt hope surge within heart, seeing opportunity arise before them all now, a chance bridge gap between police residents, creating dialogue, fostering understanding, instead fear, mistrust, separating them previously. "We need workshops where we can learn from each other," Jamal proposed, eagerly, feeling excitement building again, knowing this could lead real change happening right here, right now. "We can share our experiences, openly discuss solutions together." Officer Reynolds nodded slowly, contemplating idea seriously, while audience watched closely, awaiting response, eagerly hoping see progress unfold right before eyes. "I'll talk to my superiors about setting something up," he finally said, breaking silence surrounding them all. It wasn't much yet, but it marked significant turning point relationship between community law enforcement moving forward. A new beginning. As people began dispersing after meeting ended, Jamal felt lighter than ever before, knowing they'd taken steps toward creating safer spaces, fostering mutual respect, understanding among each other, moving forward together, united purpose. With determination fueling dreams ahead, he knew there lay endless possibilities waiting patiently just beyond horizon. Ready explore, discover together. The aftermath of the meeting. In the days following the community meeting, Jamal felt a renewed sense of hope. The atmosphere in Maplewood Park had shifted. There was a buzz of excitement and determination among residents to foster better relationships with law enforcement. The idea of workshops and open dialogues began to take root, and Jamal was at the heart of it all. Mr. Thompson, their history teacher, had taken charge of organizing the first workshop. He reached out to community leaders, local activists, and even members of the police department who were willing to engage in constructive conversations. Jamal felt proud to be involved in something so significant, knowing that he was helping to pave the way for change. As preparations for the workshop began, Jamal and his friends worked diligently to spread the word. They created flyers, posted on social media, and even went door to door in their neighborhood to invite people to participate. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Many residents expressed gratitude for the opportunity to share their experiences and concerns openly. The day of the workshop. The day of the workshop arrived with an air of anticipation. Jamal arrived early at Maplewood Park, helping set up chairs and tables under a large tent decorated with banners that read, "Building Bridges, Community and Police Together." The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over everyone as they gathered. As participants arrived, Jamal noticed a mix of familiar faces, friends from school, neighbors he had grown up with, and some new ones as well. There were officers from the local police department present too, including Officer Reynolds and Officer Smith. Jamal felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he prepared to speak. Once everyone was seated, Mr. Thompson welcomed everyone warmly. "Thank you all for coming today," he began. "This workshop is about creating a dialogue between our community and law enforcement. We want to hear your stories and work together toward understanding and respect." Jamal felt his heart race as he sat among his friends, ready to share his experience. He knew that opening up would not only help him, but also empower others who had faced similar challenges. Sharing stories. The workshop began with participants sharing their experiences. One by one, people spoke about their interactions with police. Some positive, others painful. A young woman named Lisa described how her brother had been stopped while walking home from school simply because he fit a certain profile. "My brother is just a kid," she said passionately. "He shouldn't have to worry about being stopped just because of how he looks." The room filled with murmurs of agreement as others nodded in solidarity. Jamal listened intently, feeling the weight of each story shared. It reinforced his belief that they were all connected through these experiences. When it was finally Jamal's turn to speak, he stood up nervously but determinedly. "I want to share what happened to me last week," he began, his voice steady, despite the butterflies in his stomach. "I was riding my bike in Maplewood Park when 2 officers stopped me," he recounted. "They took my bike away because they thought it was stolen without even asking me if it belonged to me." Jamal paused for a moment as he looked around at the faces, listening intently, some filled with empathy, while others showed signs of anger at what had happened. "I felt humiliated," he continued. "I worked hard to save up for that bike, and it made me feel like I wasn't trusted just because of my skin color." Building understanding. As Jamal shared his story, Officer Reynolds listened closely. There was a shift in his demeanor compared to their previous encounters. He seemed genuinely engaged and concerned about what Jamal was saying. After Jamal finished speaking, Officer Reynolds stood up slowly. "I want to apologize for what happened," he said sincerely. "I realize now that we need to do better, both as officers and as members of this community." The room fell silent for a moment before applause erupted around them. It was clear that this acknowledgement meant something significant, not only for Jamal, but also for everyone present. "I appreciate your honesty," Jamal replied, directly addressing Officer Reynolds, while feeling empowered by support surrounding him still. "But we need more than just apologies. We need action." Taking action. With renewed energy in the room, Jamal proposed forming a committee dedicated specifically toward improving relationships between police officers' residents. They could organize regular meetings where both sides could come together, discuss concerns openly without fear, judgment, or reprisal. The idea resonated strongly among attendees. Many expressed eagerness to participate, contribute ideas, ensuring voices heard loud clear. Officer Smith stepped forward, next offering support from police department, stating they were committed fostering better communication, building trust between officers, community members alike moving forward. As discussions continued throughout afternoon, participants brainstormed various initiatives aimed at creating positive change within neighborhood while addressing ongoing issues surrounding safety equality. A new friendship. As weeks passed, the workshops became a regular occurrence, drawing larger crowds each time. People from all walks of life came together, sharing stories, learning from one another, forging connections previously unimagined. Jamal found himself developing friendships, not only with fellow students but also with some police officers who attended regularly, including Officer Reynolds. One day after workshop ended, Jamal approached Officer Reynolds feeling nervous yet hopeful, wanting to express gratitude for changes happening within community. "Thank you for being here today," he said sincerely, looking Officer directly in eyes, feeling warmth radiating between them now instead, tension once felt before. Officer Reynolds smiled back, replying, "Thank you for having courage speak out. It takes bravery stand up what's right." Over time, their relationship blossomed into something unexpected, a friendship built on mutual respect, understanding, bridging gaps once separating them both sides. Facing new challenges. However, despite progress made, challenges still lay ahead. Not everyone embraced changes occurring within community easily. One afternoon while walking home from school, Jamal overheard some older boys talking loudly nearby. "Did you see those cops hanging out with those kids?" One sneered disdainfully, shaking head dismissively. "They're just trying to look good after all that mess." Feeling anger rise within him again, Jamal decided to confront them directly, instead letting negativity fester inside. "Why do you care?" he asked boldly, stepping forward, refusing back down this time. "They're trying to help us. We're working together now." The boys laughed derisively at first, but soon fell silent, realizing they couldn't intimidate him easily anymore. Jamal stood tall, proud, knowing truth behind efforts taking place around them. A turning point. That evening at home, Jamal recounted everything that happened earlier, day sharing frustrations, feelings, mixed emotions swirling within heart, still trying. Navigate complexities growing up, navigating world-filled both opportunities, challenges alike. His mother listened patiently, offering words, encouragement, reminding him never let negativity overshadow positivity surrounding efforts made toward change happening right now. "You're making a difference," she said softly, brushing hair back lovingly, reassuring gesture, reminding him love support always available, no matter what challenges lay ahead. With determination fueling spirit anew, Jamal made silent promise. Continue fighting against injustices faced by others too, ensuring voices heard loud, clear, moving forward, together united purpose. Looking ahead. As summer days turned into fall, the momentum continued building within Maplewood Park. More events planned, bringing people together discussing issues facing community openly honestly while celebrating diversity, shared experiences alike. Jamal couldn't help but feel proud reflecting on how far they'd come since that fateful day when Officer Reynolds had seized his bike. Now here they were, building bridges instead, walls separating them. With determination fueling dreams ahead, he knew there lay endless possibilities waiting patiently just beyond horizon. Ready explore, discover together. One chilly autumn afternoon, while practicing basketball, alone under streetlights illuminating court, he spotted familiar figure approaching him. It was Officer Reynolds again. "Mind if I join you?" he asked casually, holding basketball under arm, looking eager to play some hoops together again. "Of course," Jamal replied, grinning widely, feeling sense camaraderie growing stronger each time they interacted. As they played together, each dribble shot made served reminder how far they'd come since that fateful day when everything changed forever. Now here they were, united, purpose-forging friendships, breaking barriers, standing tall against injustice.